How about the
Yes.
source of the gas? That haven't been identified?
We're working on the source. That we know the source is deep down. Was it down 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 6,000 feet? We don't have the answer, but we know it was deep down because it's natural gas. One of the things Kevin Hill with Texas Brine and Don Marlin are working on, with the 3D seismic, they can actually image some potential gas zones where it may be coming from. And so I don't have a better answer for that than what I just gave you. We do know it's deep down.
Well, why, I don't understand because I think it was Texas Brine put it out saying that the source of the gas was the Big Hum and that it had been liberated. So are you saying that that's not the conclusion?
That, right now, I can't answer what the gas situation is or where the gas may have come from.
You don't have an answer to nothing.
That's right.
At least he's not feeding us much bull.
Back in,
You don't know, he tells you.
Yep.
I think August, whenever you first came on,
So they get that way.
your thoughts was that it was also coming from the Big Hum.
Yep.
But the week after, or the month after, when you had your next meeting, you had some retraction, and that was one of your retractions. You said you had a gas signature. The DNA in another part of the Big Hum did not match the DNA of this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we already knew this 8 months ago or 7 months ago that this wasn't coming from the Big Hum. Yet we get propaganda put out to the meeting, to the media, that it's all good because it's not coming from the Big Hum. We already know that. It's coming from somewhere else. So why do Bruce Martin and Cartwright put this out? Well, Sonny Cranch is just dead. But you guys in the Blue Ribbon Commission, be careful where you'll get your information from. These guys here have been fighting us since day one, and we're tired of it. We want to hear, keep that.
Okay. That is why Don Marlin, the parish asked for it, the citizens asked for it, DNR asked for an independent analysis of all the 3D seismic data. I'm hoping you can trust me even when I don't have answers.
We trust you, Don. Trust you.
We're doing the best we can, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can with you. I wish I had answers to a lot of these questions. I can tell you the Blue Ribbon Commission on the source of gas, that is question number 1. And they spent a lot of time talking about that. We're working on it. When we get some answers that I can share with you that are backed by data, we're going to be out there again.
Shouldn't this 3D show where the gas
Yeah,
pipe is?
Don?
He's a bigger guy than I am, so. Kevin and I are both working on this, and I just met Kevin for the first time tonight. So I'm gonna, he's got a lot of experience, I have a lot of experience. We're gonna look at this from, 2 separate positions. We know that there's a sinkhole, we know that there's a cavern. One's filling, one's collapsing, and we know there's a conduit there. And along that conduit, something has been liberated. And this 3D seismic is supposed to be giving us this evidence as to where that gas is being liberated from. Did it come from 6,000 feet? Did it come from 1,000 feet or somewhere in between? The new data that we shot that was available to me just this weekend, and I'm starting to take a look at it, should illustrate, because it's such high resolution that we can define very, very thin columns of gas with. But the preliminary analysis is still ongoing, so hopefully we'll be able to see tiny bits of the reservoir and find the culprit. Right now, I think I mentioned to y'all that I looked at the old data set, which is a very, very tiny subset of this larger 50 square mile data set, and I had some hints of some anomalies. I think I even mentioned to you that there was like 10 possible hydrocarbon sources that I saw. And I didn't want to put them to the level of probable or proven, because all they are is possible because the data set was so inconclusive from 2007. The 13 data set It's very high resolution, like Kevin will probably illustrate. He's here in this room also. And I should be getting data over the next couple of days, if not weeks, to understand and identify those targets. And hopefully if I identify those targets, I can put a volume to them and then determine what kind of gas will ultimately get up through the sinkhole and to the point that we can determine volume versus stability. So that's where I am.
Thanks, Don.
No?
You can keep it. Any other questions?
You can run fast at the end.
Okay, I think,
Yeah. Thank you very much. Also, tonight we have asked Texas Brine to give an update on what they've been doing and the kind of a situation summary of that. And I did ask them, in addition to that, to give us an update on the buyout issue that they've been, I know many of you have had your homes inspected, and appraisals may have been done. So we asked them to elaborate and give us an update on that process as well. Is it Bruce or Mark?
Good evening. Anybody not hearing? Sound okay?
Close to the mic.
My name is Bruce Martin. I'm Vice President of Operations for Texas Brine. I spoke to you guys several times. Tonight, we're going to have several people on behalf of Texas Brine speak. I'm going to go through a quick review of the response and activities and progress so far. And then I've asked Mark, my associate, to talk about the 3D seismic survey results. We're also going to have Dr. Bill Goodman come up and give a few words about some work that we're doing on further mapping of the MRA-A aquifer. And then at the end, Brad Myers is going to come up and talk about settlement. So I'll walk through. I'll try not to repeat anything that's already been said, but you know, I just want to kind of walk through. Walk through the key response priorities, monitoring, and then, like I said, Mark will talk about 3D. As we've talked for several times now, our response priorities are threefold. Demonstrate containment of the sinkhole and determine if additional sinkholes could form that would threaten the Bayou Corn community. Confirming the broader stability of the dome and mitigating the risk posed by or the presence of shallow gas in the aquifer. So let me talk first about sinkhole containment. We've already mentioned that oxy-Geismar 3 cavern is probably in the neighborhood of about 97% full. You've seen the trucks, you've seen all the highway traffic on Highway 70 bringing in dirt and building this berm. As you can see, this is the original alignment of the sinkhole containment berm, which represents about a mile of new berm that we built out in the swamp. We did get initial containment around February 22nd, where we completed this spot right down here. And we're confident that any of the contents in the sinkhole of the material inside is contained, and surface water samples that we've taken since then have confirmed that. As a result of the subsidence that's already been mentioned in this area around this western berm, the original access road that we built off of, we have decided here recently to extend and modify the western berm to actually run about right there to the ORW number 9, and then come back to this location to actually actually enlarge the area of the sinkhole containment berm in order to ensure that if any additional subsidence occurs in this area, it won't jeopardize sinkhole containment. That work is ongoing. I think we just about reached this location today. Rain's been a challenge, but we're continuing to haul dirt, sand, and we'll be bringing in additional clay. With respect to the construction of the containment berms, The northern berm has had both lifts of clay put on and is in the process of settling, and we've tested it. It is acceptable. We have done the first lift of clay on the southern berm, and we'll continue to bring in clay as the weather allows. As I mentioned, we've got sand to this point. We've cleared trees back to this point. We'll continue to haul dirt in. We knew this was a potential when we built this berm up, the original access road. But for the sake of expediency and to be able to get in to install relief well here, as well as the 1,000-foot geophone well, and to get these relief wells in quicker, we opted to build this road up first, knowing that we may have to relocate it. And unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. So we will continue to operate these wells, but the actual sinkhole berm will go out here to the west a little further. The final construction of the sinkhole containment system is still projected to be in the July. We actually expect to get the containment berms built sooner than that. The critical path along delivery item is the water control structures for inlet and outlet of water that will be located here in the southern portion, or the portion of the southern berm. And that's being fabricated off-site and will be brought in here, and they hope to have it installed by mid to late July. I'm not going to go through all these details. There's a lot of words up here. Mark's going to talk a little bit more about the 3D. But, you know, dome stability is the second key focus priority of our overall response efforts. We've talked in prior meetings about the vertical seismic profiling that we did on Oxygeyser 1 and Oxygeyser 2. The 3D survey we have just completed, and as Don Marlin and Kevin Hill are in the process of working through that. Don just received this information, the data for the 3D, I think last Friday or over the weekend. Mark's going to talk about the details of the 3D. I think the message that we feel confident on is when we compare the images of this 3D with the 2000 3D study that we have seen. Everything indicates that the western edge of the Napoleonville Dome has not moved. It is stable. It's in the same locations as it was prior to the formation of the sinkhole. As mentioned, this 3D provides very clear images, much clearer than the 2007 data. So that data, as I mentioned, has been provided to the DNR. When we go to the third key area of gas venting, and those are the ones that are most visible once you get past all the trucks on the highway. There's currently 24 geoprobe wells into the shallow sand zone. We are in the process of installing an additional 18 in the area around the relief wells and to the south of the relief wells in order to provide more information on the subsurface pressure, but also be able to sample any water or gas out of that shallow sand zone. I expect those wells to be completed within the next week or two, and then we will be developing them and sampling. So we'll have a total of over, the math is right, over 40 shallow geoprobe wells. We're currently doing some testing of a tool called a cone penetrometer test to try to find a quicker, more efficient way of determining the potential layer of gas in the aquifer. The cone penetrometer test, the CPT tools, is a widely used mechanism, well proven, but not in a situation where you may have gas in the aquifer. And that's what we're trying to establish is the practices to be able to do that so that we can safely actually do the cone penetrometer test and remove the core tube without risking gas coming out of the open hole. That work is ongoing right now. And then, as part of the 3D data, we have ongoing analysis being done of the MRAA, that aquifer layer at the very top of the 3D image, in order to further try to define if we can figure out with the 3D where there is a gas zone or not, and to give better definition of the 3D. But by virtue of the 3D itself, we're going to elect to take another step and actually conduct a electromagnetic, it's an airborne survey that basically will help us map in real time the contours